Good afternoon, Zoro.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
How are you today?
I'm very well, actually. I'm feeling a bit nervous. I'll be very honest about it, but looking forward to the podcast.
So am I. So we'll discuss a bit about your daily routine as an MD and some qualities that you have as a person that have led and helped you here. And we'll also talk about what the work culture is in your office and in your company. So let's begin.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what do you think are 3 to 5 most important traits in you which have helped you come this far in your corporate journey? And if there is any story that you'd like to add over here that highlight these traits?
Yeah, I think a very interesting question, because I think when you look back at it, I don't think I would call it the qualities, but I will say what you pick as the best traits that you want to carry forward, right? One thing which I always believe in is that every day of your life, you learn what to do, and you also learn at the same time what not to do as well. So I think this is the learning that you carry forward with you. So I would suggest that one good thing that I do like about myself, I don't like to talk about this as a quality, but one good trait that I think has helped me is being optimistic, right? So I have always looked at the glass as always being half full. This is who I am in my personal life as well. I do believe that whatever happens for a reason and happens for good. And that has helped me to stay motivated, during the career and personal life as well. So I think it is important for you to be positive.
Okay.
Because that is something which will help you in the career. The career will not go into a straight linear path. It will go up and down. And when you are down, you should be able to look up to the next thing that you can do. So you have to stay positive. Second, I think I'm a people's person. I do pride myself about that as well, right? This podcast is an example of that as well. I think your team makes you and your team breaks you. So I think if you are connected to your team on a personal basis, that helps you. It makes your job very easy, right? Because your people can connect to you, they can talk to you, and you can expect them to do more than 100% in the job as well, right? So I think that's the second thing. And I will say that the third thing, which I do believe has helped me in my career, is being open to challenges, right? It's always the fear of the unknown that is difficult to manage. I'm generally very positive when it comes to taking up a new challenge, doing things which I've not done before. I'm not a kind of person who likes to be stagnant. So, right, anything which is thrown at me, if I can take it as a challenge and look at it as something which I will learn from and hopefully improve the environment around me while I'm doing that, that motivates me. So I think these are the 3 things that I would highlight as the key aspects which have helped me in my career so far.
So evolution is the only constant in Zoro's life.
Change is the only constant. Absolutely.
Good. Okay. So building upon how you talked about that you are a people's person, I'm curious to know what the organizational culture in your company, in your office is like, and why have you kept it like that? Why? What's the reason?
Yeah, I think, when you say you're a people's person, sometimes this notion is mistaken, right? It does not mean that you're not going to drive results. It does not mean that you're not going to drive performance. It also does not mean that you will not be pushing for accountability and responsibility, right? When I say I'm a people's person, it means that my door is open for anybody to walk in. It means that I can discuss subjects, be it personal or professional nature, with my employees with full confidentiality. It means that I will be closer to my team. I will know what they're going through, so I can be part of their happiness and I can be part of their sorrows as well. It means I will have an open communication with them. It means that I'll be ethical. It means that I will not have any biases about any of our employees or my team, for example, as well. So that allows you to make a one-to-one connection, that allows you to have a relaxed atmosphere in the office as well. That allows you to make better decisions. I think a stressful organization will not be able to make good decisions in stressful times. I think if you have an atmosphere in the office which is relaxed, which is composed, which is open, then during the stressful times, the teams come together and are able to think better and make better decisions.
Yes, and I believe that enhances productivity.
It does enhance the productivity as well. I think, you can always stretch a spring, but you need to know at what point you will permanently deform it, right? So I would rather be part of the solution than be part of the problem. And I think if you are creating stress for the team around you, or you're not able to manage how that stress should be passed to your team, you're actually creating or aggravating the problem. So I think that is something which I've always strived to do, to have a very strong and open relationship with my team, right? And that is where they would look up to me and I would look up to them as well.
So it's a both-way learning process in this manner.
Absolutely, it's a learning process.
That's great. That's great. So Zohro, let's rewind a bit.
Yes.
I want to know what went on in your mind when you were choosing engineering as a study stream. Why engineering and nothing else?
Okay, so I will say the straight answer is that I did not want to be a doctor. And I think in Pakistan in particular, I think when I was growing up, there was the two professions were okay. You're going to be either a doctor or an engineer, right? So for me, medicine was not the area which I was going to pursue, although my mother was a doctor, my brother is a doctor, my sister is a doctor. Secondly, I am an army brat, as you did call me before the podcast started. And I am proud to be an army brat as well. So both my parents were from the army, right? And in my mind, I had seen enough army in my house while I was growing up. And I think while I loved the profession and I loved the environment, I wanted to do something which was a bit more different. So I scored very well in my high school. And at that point, I'll be very honest with you, I was very good in speaking and debating and all that. And a lot of people in my family did not want me to do engineering. They wanted me to do, the Central Superior Services exam and come into the bureaucracy and things like that. And I did not want to do that. So it was, I would say, the path just kind of, okay, by shutting down all the options, the option which was open for me was engineering. My passion had always been management. It was primarily, project management, people management, change management. So I would say that the engineering helped me a lot, because what engineering does is develop the analytical thinking.
Sure.
Right? So I'm an electronics engineer by background. And if you ask me in my career, how long did I actually use the engineering expertise? I would say maybe the first 2 years. But the analytical thinking that was developed as part of that engineering process or the study process, that is what has stayed with me. And at the end of the day, what is the job of an engineer is to break down a problem into smaller problems and troubleshoot them individually to come to a solution. And if you look at anything in business, in life, this is how you manage problems. You break them down into smaller chunks and you try to fix every chunk bit by bit. And in the end, the solution is in front of you, right? So I think I don't repent any moment of being in the engineering, but this is how I ended up being an engineer.
So no regrets choosing engineering as...
I personally, as I mentioned to you, I'm an optimist by nature. I personally do not think that I would carry regrets in my life, because I think, as a person, my opinion is that you make the best decision at that point based on the information that you have.
Yes.
In the future, some of those decisions may not be the best ones that you could have taken, but hindsight is always 20/20. If you had better information, your decision would have been different. But you try to make the best decision at that point with the information that you have. And as long as you keep doing that, I'm not a person who would carry regrets.
So, Zohro, the linear career pathways are slowly becoming a thing of the past. And linear pathways of career across the globe are becoming obsolete, and people are now merging different careers. For example, in previous times, we never heard about mechatronics, or we never heard somebody specializing in artificial intelligence having a background of electronics engineering. People are merging different fields.
It's true.
But how do you think that applies to our youth, and how can you think that our youth keep up the pace with this changing work environment across the globe?
It's a very, very good question. I think because, first of all, I think as we discussed in the beginning, change is the only constant. And that is so true. So one question that I get asked many times, when you're flying in an aeroplane or something, somebody tells you, how long have you been with this company? And you say 25 years, and they say, wow, 25 years, right? I mean, that's people are used to having this kind of a career, long career in either, national companies or institutions like Army or other locations. So why? And I think one of the reasons why I stayed 25 years in the company that I work for is because I've never been stagnant, right? So the change has always been there. So every 3 years, you either change your job or you change your location.
So
right?
the company has been moving you around
It
within
has
the
been
company.
moving me around, and I think that is one of the reasons why the company has been able to retain and grow people, because change brings to you new challenges. And when you feel challenged, you feel that you're motivated to perform, right?
Okay.
Nobody likes to be in a stagnant role where they don't think they are giving something new on a daily basis, right? To do that change is required, right? So now that change can come by changing the geography, the culture that you operate in. So your peers around you change, your customer profile changes, while you might be in the same role, right? Or changing your role, right? So I could be in the same location for 6 years, but I could do 3 different roles. And those 3 different roles will be the change that will keep me motivated, right? So that is something which the company has done successfully that allowed me to prosper, and many people like me as well.
So Zoro, when you say that you have to make yourself more employable, more marketable, do you have a suggestion for the youth where they can, maybe 3 skills that you think they can learn, they can develop, which will help them become more marketable and more employable especially by the companies like these?
No, I think absolutely. I think the first one, which I will emphasize a lot on, is communication skills. Okay, because you know what you know, but do you know how to sell what you know, right? That is very important. Right?
Absolutely.
So you need to be able to communicate the solution that you have to not only your customers but your peers as well, right? So that is where I see a lot of engineers when we go for hiring or other MTOs that you mentioned as well, is that we look at people who are technically very strong, right? That is there, that skill is there. But can they actually project that technical skill to an audience? Can they adjust their communication skill to the level of the audience they're talking to? This is a skill that you have to develop, because communication is going to be the key for you to make sure that you become visible in the organization, as well as for you to actually be supporting your solution during the negotiation process, during the communication to your customers, to your superiors, to your team members, right? So that skill is very critical, number 1. I think number 2, as I mentioned, is being open to challenges where you say, I have not done this before, but I would like to try it out, right? And that has a risk of failure, right? But one of my mentors told me, in my opinion, a very good suggestion, that when you're looking at a new role, add it to your existing resume and read your resume. Does it look better with a new role? And better does not mean a bigger position. It could be a parallel position, but in a different role, which brings new skill sets to you. If it does, then challenge yourself and accept it, right? So that's the kind of thing that I would like to suggest.
That's very good advice.
Yes, and I think the third one, which I'll be honest with you, that's something which, if I had known about this when I was growing in my university days or immediately after that, I would have emphasized more on this, is developing the network, right? And that network is where you have your mentors who you can go to, right? The network where you are part of the organizations that are collaborating, technical organizations, non-technical organizations, that allow you to become more visible as well, that allow you to learn more very quickly as well, right? Because you start getting to share the experience across with multiple people, seniors, as well as your peers. So I think